Hello, hello everybody, and welcome to part 36 of the Arduboy game dev stream. So, today we will continue to implement the logic for the respawn and the init of all the item. So, if you remember last stream, we refactor our code to be able to initialize all the item, especially the starting position, using some function and an array of pointer on those function init function, and now we have to think about the transition between one screen to another to add the item in the item of the current screen puzzle screen and remove the item of the previous screen. And before I say that, so I didn't do any code outside of the stream, so I didn't commit also, so we will just continue from where we stop. But before we continue, I just thought about something which is actually great. It's like in our map data, we have those instances, and actually we could reuse those instances in different screen because we can just spawn them in different position. So this is specifically true for items that doesn't die or cannot die or cannot change state, like for example the spike never die. So I could just for example instantiate like a couple of them, like I don't know, 5, something like that, for the maximum. It depends on how many spikes you want to see on the same screen, right? And then I could reuse all these spikes in different init screen, like the 2, the 3, the 10, the 22, whatever. I could keep reuse those spike. That will save some prog mem, of course, because here there will be different, but there will be the same add item, but this will be probably different. So at least I saved the instantiation of those class, and that could be used for the spike, for the maybe arrow launcher. Well, arrow launcher have other parameters, but all that kind of item that doesn't change state, and for which they don't change state if you go back to the previous screen. For the enemy, it's a bit different because if you kill an enemy, you go to the next screen, come back to the previous screen. If you respawn the same enemy in the next screen, then you will respawn it alive, and then when you come back, it will be alive again. So that's what we want to avoid. But we could reuse some of those enemies. For example, if you fall from one level to the other, let's say, for example, that if you have a big fall like that and no later to climb back, then you know that you can never go back from that puzzle screen to the previous one. So all the enemies that were used before, they could be reused after. So yeah, that's probably a way to save some prog mem also. Anyway, this is something that is purely for the editor. This is something we may consider in the editor. But yeah, just come to my mind that, with that system, we don't actually need to have many instances. And before, because the position were in the constructor, so yeah, before we had to have every instance, several instances to give different position. Right, so that's a good point. That's another optimization that we can do. Anyway, so let's continue about that. Before, I just want to share some other thought that I had. Um, yeah, so briefly yesterday, no, yesterday, the last stream, I think it was, I don't know when I streamed, like, yeah, maybe yesterday or the day before yesterday. I told you that the uh, puzzle screen are linear, right? So that's why we can have a puzzle screen ID, and we should we may also need to have some information to know if we go forward or backward or whatever. But I think I found an idea to have this information with a very minimum amount of variable, and probably without even asking the level editor to do some data, to write some data in the map data. Um, so I will explain you that probably a bit later if we start to implement it today. I'm not sure. So, but let's um, let's um, let's do it. Let's try to do it. So I just removed some code that we had quickly wrote yesterday just for quickly testing the dynamic add. Instead, I just add two new functions which are empty right now, which is begin switch puzzle screen and switch puzzle screen. And I think we should fill those functions, and we should find a place to call them. So obviously, I think the begin switch should be called here in the camera transition. It's when we change the camera target Y or X. This is actually when we decide to switch the screen. Last stream I made some mistake. I thought this one was the screen ID, but it's the coordinate into the big array of sprite. Right, so that's where we have to do some probably divided by the number of level sprite height. Right. All right. So, but anyway, I think we can just call this function here, and I will just give this as a parameter. So we need to give the x and the y. So obviously the x here doesn't change, so we can just give the same. And we give the new one, which is the previous one, the one on the top. Here is the same kind of logic, the same x, but we give the next one. And here we give the new x, and we keep the same y. And here that's the same for the right. So the next, and we keep the y. All right, so I think that's the moment we switch. However, I know that this function is called every frame, so that's why here I have checked if the value actually change. And if we detect any change, if it's the same, so nothing happened. If we detect a change, then okay, we set the value here, and then we will do the thing that we have to do here. for this one, where should we call it? So I think this should be called when the transition is finished. So basically, when the diff is 0, could be here, but this will be called every frame when the diff is 0. So actually, I just want to call it when I just begin to be 0. So basically, after, for example, after increasing the x, if it's equal, sorry, then this is where I should call the end, and next time it won't be called a second time. Or I can also, yeah, I don't know if last frame it was equal or not, so I think the best way is to call it here. So after increasing x, we can check if we have check if we reach the end of the transition. So same here, and same for the y. So if the target equal the y, forgot the semicolon, yeah, and well, we could even put this into this function, so that we don't even reset the value every frame. But okay, I will leave it like that for now. All right, so I think that's our entry point and exit point of the transition. I hope I'm correct. We'll see that. So now let's think about this. So if you remember, yeah, we have declared a current puzzle screen ID here. So we should update it here. All right, and this is where I want to discuss. Okay, and I don't know what we will write later. And then we should have init also, that I don't know if it's true or false, but we will also discuss that. Okay, so my idea to go through the different puzzle screen is like that. Basically, the characters enter, from example, from this part of the screen, like the top left if you want, and then it goes through all the screen and maybe exit here, which will be the bottom right. Okay, or it can come from the top, then go through down, then go even down here, or that's the opposite, maybe you have to climb ladders and exit here. But what I mean is most of the time you don't have the entry point and the exit point in the same area, right? They are mostly at opposite position of the screen. Of course, it depends on the level design, but most of the time the player has to go through all the screen, right? So that means basically when I do my transition, when the character exits the screen, I know roughly where the character is, and then I can memorize this position. Because also we will need to memorize this entry position, the entry position on the puzzle screen, because if the player die, then we have to teleport the player again into that entry position, right? And I don't want, like I told you at the beginning of the stream, I don't want to save all the entry position for every puzzle screen, right? I could, for example, in the map data here in the init, I could just call a function of rig, and respawn and give the specific position for that screen, right? But if I can avoid it, that's maybe even better, maybe. So I don't know, maybe I cannot avoid it, but whatever. I can, anyway, my idea was to memorize this position, entry position, but for another reason. So I memorized this entry position in the map manager, and then when I transition again, I can check if those position is different. I mean, quite different, with some kind of a range, some kind of margin. Yeah, right. So if it's different with a certain margin, that means I reach the exit, right? If it's the same with a certain margin, that means I just go back, right? I just transitioning through the same gate in between the two puzzle screen, right? So if they are the same in the same area, I'm probably going back, and then I know that it's not, I should not reset, totally respawn all the enemies. But if it's very different, then I know I should reset, initialize all the items. Okay, so that's the first point. And then also, how do I know if I should increase or decrease the current puzzle screen ID? I would like to have a direction variable. So direction variable could be +1 or -1. So you start the game with +1, and if you go through a different, very different, very separate exit gate, we'll say, then yeah, you just add the direction. But if you go through the same gate, then you reverse the direction. So that means you go back, right? And if I go back again, that's another very different gate. Then yeah, I know I should do -1, so I continue to go back, right? So that's my idea of increasing the puzzle ID, the puzzle screen ID. And as you can see, we just need to have a direction and two variables for the gate position, right? So let's try that. I didn't try it. It's just something I have in mind. I hope it can work. So let's try it. So variable for managing puzzle screen. So we have the current puzzle screen ID. We can just have the puzzle screen direction. move direction. So we start with 1. All right, and then we have a puzzle screen gate. So let's call it gate X. And Y. Obviously, they have to be initialized with the first gate, but after that, it can probably update by itself. All right, so yeah. So here we have those variables. So like I said, we can check first if it's quite different. So to do that, I need to check the rig position, right? So so I'm not sure if I should use those variables or just X or Y. I think they may all work fine because of the get left for screen transition. Maybe I can just use X or center X, maybe center X, center Y. That should be okay, I think. So if Rick gets center X, so it's mine. So I can just do the diff like int gate diff okay, I can just do the difference and like I get diff x, and I can do the same for the y. Then I can check so obviously I need the absolute value, but I can say if the diff is less than, so obviously I need constant value. Get margin, let's say puzzle screen, and could be, yeah, it could be like 8 pixels. We can be quite generous actually, I think. So if this and I should rate it in the other direction, I prefer, and same for the y. So actually, I can let's put that into a boolean value. Is going backward, I'll say, is Rick returning? Okay, this and that. Okay, so if Rick is returning, then we should reverse our direction. If the player return to the previous inverse the direction, and then increase the puzzle screen according to the direction. So plus equal this. So here compute check, compute the position, compare the position of Rick with the last gate position. All right, and then here I think we should init, if it's not returning, we should do a full init. If it's returning, we should not do a full init. Right. We also need to memorize the gate after doing the, so memorize the new get position, so I will just cache it here. New get x, and new get y. Right. So then we memorize the new puzzle screen, puzzle gate after computing the difference. So if we are returning, we inverse the direction and then we change the puzzle screen idea. Then we call the init, full init or not. If it's the first time, we do full. If we return, then no. It's not exactly that. This test is not exactly correct because I can return two screens. So the first screen I will not do a full init, but the second screen is not returning, and I will do a full init, which I don't want. So it's not exactly this test. It's it's more like I should probably save the another variable, like saving the farthest puzzle screen that you reach. Yeah. Um, so, but that's fine. It's not a lot of not a lot of data for sure. Let's just use char. Uh, Forest puzzle screen ID reach. All right. Sorry. So here, if the current screen ID is bigger than this one, then we should do a full init and then memorize wait, I will use another boolean value bool is reach a new yeah, a new puzzle. If yes, then I should memorize it. Check if the player reach a new puzzle, and if yes, memorize it. All right, so if our current is greater than the current one, if yes, then we memorize it, and then the init if we reach a full init, if we reach a new puzzle. All right, which means this test, yeah, okay, which means I could directly put that in the if. All right, so I think that would be a correct puzzle screen management, probably. Except the gate should be like yeah, should be like the spawn position of the player. Before testing, I need to do something like that. So, and for Rick, we have a respawn, or yeah, we have a no. Oh yeah, the respawn is like automatic. So, but we have to. Okay, there's still more work to do. It's actually it should be the map manager that respawn the player, and it should be respawn to the last gate. Uh, okay, I will just put these two value 15 and 2 hard-coded right now just for testing. Let's put the same value, 15 and 2. All right, so it should work if we didn't forget something. So you can notice that I actually the way the level are designed right now, this you can go through in a circle. So actually, if I go left, if I go to the right, for example, then the right screen will become the second screen. But if I go down, then the bottom screen will become the second screen, right? Doesn't matter. I mean, for the map manager, it doesn't care where is the next one. It will be only in level design that we will only have one entry, one exit, and not two entry, two exit. But right now, with the level I have designed, I have multiple entry and exit, so yeah, it may be a bit confusing for the map manager. Let's try to compile. Oh, I have nothing to drink today. Let's test it. I will try to go down. Let's see if I have the spike. Okay, I have the spike. What about this? So that should be puzzle screen number 3. And now I have a crash. Nope. Yeah, it's a crash. All right. Yeah, probably need to reset. Yeah, because I have only 3 screens in the map data. So that's a bit nasty. Let's create screen 4. So I can add the spike. Actually, yeah, let's make the bonus screen the screen 4, and I can add this into okay, I will add this to 200. 220, just add these 2 spike maybe. All right. And to avoid crashing the Arduboy, I will also add some kind of protection into the init function. Where is my init function? Here. Oops, nope. Between 0 and puzzle screen count. All right, so let's reset it. So let's try again. So we have our spike. We have spike over there. I don't know if you can see them. They are inside the decor, but and I will try to, yep, and we have our pickup item. Statuette is not here, don't know why. And if I go there, it should be the screen 5, but because of my test, probably I won't crash the memory. Yeah, okay. All right, so now let's try to I restart the game. I will kill some enemies and see. Yeah, I will go to screen number 2 from the on the right. So what happens if I go back? Okay, they are still not here, which is good. They are still dead. All right. I think I need to debug stuff in the console, in the how to say, in the monitor, the serial monitor, just to make sure that it's doing what I want. But it looks to do what I want, so it's a good news. We can commit that, and then after that we can do the remove of the item outside of the screen. So what do we have? Yeah, okay, so obviously we add a fourth screen to avoid crashing, because we have 4 screen right now. Then we have our puzzle gets margin, need 1 space. Okay, then we have our variable, the current screen ID, the farthest puzzle screen ID reached, the direction, the gate coordinate. We have our 2 function, begin and end, which we call here, and the end we call it here. XX, XX, YY, YY, okay. And then in the begin, we set the new target, and then we check if the gate is different, memorize it, reverse if it's the same, increase the puzzle screen, memorize the first one, and then init. All right. So um, memorize the gate add variable the map manager to memorize the current puzzle screen ID and the first one reach. Implement the logic to init the correct items of the current puzzle screen, and also add a function, init function for the fourth screen in the map data. All right, what did we change in rig? Okay, just the spawning position. We have to deal with that also. All right, so now we should remove the item outside of the screen. That should be quite easy, I think. So we will iterate through all the item, then is on screen. We have already the function, and so obviously the item we should just use this function. Get X, get Y. Let's take a pointer on this one. Current item. And of course, if not on screen, then I should remove it. All right. Yeah, I need to have the sprite width and height. Ooh, that's a bit nasty. Okay. I don't really, it doesn't really matter. We can give a kind of generic width and height. Let's say Otherwise, if every item has to check itself, then it's maybe too much code for something that can be automatic, um, automatically done here. So let's try that. Okay. Okay. It's hard to know because I don't know when the scorpion is falling actually. And yeah, the pickup item are not here. So the pickup item um, get removed immediately, which is strange because I thought the N puzzle puzzle screen switch puzzle screen should be called at the very end. Oh, if else if because there's no else if here. So if it's doesn't matter if it's the same, I don't call it. Let me try again. We have the spike. They are not, yeah. They are not added back. Maybe it's the, let me check the init again. Yeah. Yeah, just don't call the should respawn here. So, but the item should be added. It should be re-added actually. Unless, unless the end is called, well, you should not. Yeah, this is typically where I should start to use the serial monitor to know exactly when things are called and to debug some variable, because now it start to be quite difficult. Okay, what time for the stream? Almost 1 hour. Okay. Okay, XY. Yep. I can even give 0 here, actually. right. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I don't have them back. Or maybe the bug is here. Let me try to go through because there is two exit in from first screen to bottom. Um, yeah, maybe that's a reason why I have so many gate. So okay, let's do this. And but yes, I cannot go back. So yeah, I should not go through this. I should go through the later. Oh, my camera will soon die. So let's go through here. Okay, and go up. Yes, they are here. And then if I go down, yes, they are here. Yeah, okay, so it seems that it works. If I kill you, and if I go up, only the scorpion is here. Yeah, it seems to work. Yeah, what I've done is like I exit the first screen from this pitfall, and then go up from the ladder. So obviously, from the ladder to the pitfall, it's more than 8 pixels or 10 pixels, more than the margin that we placed. But again, in the level design, we should have only one exit and entry. However, I'm thinking how wide will be the exit. For example, if I have a very large pit, then I can jump, or so I can exit from various position. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this could work. It can work. I think it works in depending on the level design with a minimum of variable, and I don't save a lot of things. But yeah, maybe that impacts some constraint on the level design. So yeah, let's commit that. I think it's kind of okay. All right, so implement the logic of removing items outside of the current puzzle screen after a camera transition. And I will push. So yeah, I think I will end the stream here. We still have some work to do on the respawn. So mainly, so outside of the stream, I will make sure that it works exactly as I want it to work. That there is no some hidden bug that is not easy to see just by playing the game. So I will probably print some value in the serial monitor, and first I will do that. I will tell you if there is any issue, and then the second thing we have to do is to the respawn of Rick, of the main character. So basically we have to respawn him at the gate entry, more or less. In the original game of Rick Dangerous, you could actually do several screens, and there was some respawn point. Like maybe you have to go through 3, 4, 5 screen, and then if you didn't die, then you have a checkpoint, and then if you die later, you come back to that checkpoint. I don't plan to do it. Well, if we do it, then it's even more data level, design data. So that's why I was thinking of trying to do something automatic like that. So just like memorizing the gate position. Or like I said, we could even in the init function, in the map data, we could even write the starting position of for each puzzle screen. Everything is possible. I mean, yeah, why not? Need to think about it. I'm not sure. We have some also extra things to consider, like if I'm on a ladder, right? So if I teleport the player at the beginning, for example, if I go from the first screen to the second screen through the ladder, but I die in the second screen, like I hit the spikes, I should respawn on the second screen, but on the ladder, right, in the top left corner. So I don't know, if I just teleport the player there, you will probably switch to later state. We'll see. But yeah, that's basically the thing we have to consider is the respawner freak when he die on one screen, and then the first the position of the first gate also. This is the first, yeah, the really first gate. And yeah, we'll see if we continue to use that system. If it works well, I think it would be nice, because we only use a couple of variable, like four variable. So I think it's not that bad. Yeah. Anyway, I will leave you here. So thank you for watching as usual, and then I will see you in the next stream. Bye bye.